You've tuned in to the Beyond Hope podcast, your access to success strategies and more to help you survive and thrive through your loved one's addiction challenges while you move onward and upward with your life. Now, here's your host, Shar Jones.
Hey everyone, this is Shar and welcome to Beyond Hope Radio. How's it going? A lot has been happening in my world and I don't know, I've talked about this before, and when things start to feel out of control, and if you have a loved one that's struggling with addiction, then you know as well as I do how quickly things can change. I remember in the beginning when my daughter first went through treatment, and I would hear them talk about relapse. And they would talk about how relapsing is a part of recovery. I remember thinking that was absurd. I remember thinking that can't be true. And those folks must not have tried hard enough or didn't want it bad enough. It's just the way your mind immediately starts to discredit this information, because I thought, there's no way in hell we could survive a relapse. I really didn't know what the hell it was. I mean, I get it. You go back out and you drink or you use drugs or whatever your addiction is, kind of like you fall off the wagon, so to speak. But man, like I had no idea how hard this shit is. And it makes me think back to time when I was a kid. I think I've mentioned this before, that my dad struggled with alcohol all my life. Maybe not so much when I was little, but as a teenager and older. And I remember thinking that all he had to do was just quit, and that he must not care how I feel, how my mom feels, how it's impacting our family, because he would continue to drink. But now that I've been witnessing this with my daughter for, well, at least 5 years in and out of treatment programs. And the reason why I'm talking about relapse is because when things are good and you're feeling hopeful and you're starting to reclaim your life and you're starting to gain momentum and you're starting to get out there and do things and getting out in nature, building new relationships, maybe you're investing more time and energy into your relationship with your partner or your spouse. Maybe you're rekindling things with your family. And it's fueled by this relief that, God, like, thank God they're going to be okay. And I'm going to be okay now, because as soon as they get well, as soon as they get clean and sober and they start investing in their own lives, right? How quickly we forget the nightmare until they relapse. And then we get taken right back in it. We're right back in it. It's like no time has passed. This is what has happened to me here recently. I had been working so hard on myself, on reclaiming my life, rekindling my relationship with myself, discovering what I like and what makes me happy and fulfilled. And this isn't my first rodeo. Hey, she's relapsed a number of times. And the most recent was this year, So she left treatment after 15 months. She left in January. And I got that phone call that she had walked out. I got the call at work and I was in shock. Because after 15 months, I had finally started to believe that she was going to be okay, that this was it, you know, like the letters and the phone calls, all those things, when looked at them together as a whole, it's working. It's really working. Like, she's going to make it to the end of this program. She's going to create a new life for herself. She's going to be happy. And then I got that phone call. The crazy thing is, it was like maybe a couple of weeks after I'd spoken to her last. And I just had this mom vibe that I discredited, because I think as women, we are really susceptible to that. You know, these kind of subliminal messages all our life, that it's in our head, that we're imagining things, that we're too focused on what other people think about us, and that we need more confidence, and, you know, whatever. And so we talk ourselves out of it. And that's what I did. I had this sense that something was off with her. I saw this flash in her eyes when we were talking, and it was so quick. It was like this flash, like that. And I saw her eyes. They showed me the pain and how quickly she put her mask back on. And when I got off the phone with her that day, I cried. I cried because I thought, she's so homesick. I just wanted to hold her and I miss her, right? And I talked myself out of it. And then she left treatment a couple weeks later. Eventually, she relapsed. She was homeless, and I went and saw her. I went and visited her in April. She told me that she was staying with friends. And I told her, you're going to have to get yourself home. You're going to have to figure this out. And if you can't, if you decide in any moment that you are ready to go back to treatment, you just have to pick up the phone. But see, that requires her caring enough about her own well-being to pick up the phone. She's not there. She's not there yet. Fast forward, I flew her home mid-June. Saw her in April. Hardest thing I've ever done, leaving her there. You know, we spent a lot of good times together while I was there. She opened up to me. We walked on the beach. We did all these things, right? And there were moments where she let me in, and she let me know that she was lonely. And moments like that, because right, there's no clear path. It's not like there's one route to get there. And so all these voices come flooding into my head. All the people that have told me, hold your bottom line. So I did. And I left. A couple months later, there was a lot of communication going back and forth. I let her know that if she wanted to come back home, that she was going to need to figure it out. She was going to need to get a job. She was going to need to earn some money for a plane ticket. She was going to have a plan. And if she was going to come back and home and stay with us, that would require some things, that she was going to have to be sober, that she was going to have to commit to finding work, things like that. So I got some messages and they were scary. She was letting me know that she couldn't continue to lie to me about this and tell me that everything's okay when it's not, and that she was feeling unsafe. And that was all I needed to hear, right? She said that she could commit to some of the things that I had mentioned, and I flew her home. And my husband supported me in that, and he agreed. We can't leave her out there, if she's not safe. So she's now home. Some things have happened. She came home and she was really a different person. And I really believe that there was some trauma there for her. She hasn't opened up to me about it. She may have been manipulating me. I really don't know. But when I picked her up from the airport, she was different. And I felt a disconnect. And I've always felt so close to her all my life. She's my only daughter. She's my only biological child. Being a single mom and struggling through all that, you develop this bond that is nothing can replace that. And she's my heart, and I love her, and our personalities are very similar. She's a deep thinker. She's a deep feeler. So am I. When I picked her up from the airport, I don't know what I was expecting, but things were different. And brought her to the house. She only stayed here one night. She's been gone for 15 months, right? So it's okay, she's got people to see. So she reconnected with a few really close friends that have been there throughout all of this. She went and stayed with my mom, for a week, her grandma. She saw her aunt. And then a lot of other stuff happened that I just was something is just not right. She was avoiding me, and I had to give her some room. I had to give her some space. So then I find out that her boyfriend is here. She flew him here. I didn't even know she had a boyfriend. So he showed up 2 weeks ago, and some other things have happened. As of yesterday, I've had to create some distance from her. And so I had a dear friend of mine that I met through the podcast. It's Shelly. Shelly, I'm sending you so much love, and I'm just so grateful for your friendship. Shelly asked me to talk a little bit about relapse, some of the signs, and what do we do in those situations? And looking back, I can look back and I can always see that the signs were there each time that she has relapsed. And there's been many. So avoidance, a change in communication, whether it be over communicating or not communicating, just any kind of changes and sudden changes in behavior, restlessness, or sleeping a lot, or not sleeping, a lack of eye contact, kind of absence in the eyes, you can see it. You know what I'm talking about. There's this vacancy in the eyes. That for me is the biggest red flag. Now it's hard, right? If you've gone a long time with your loved one and maybe they're dry, they're sober, but they're not, you've heard the term dry drunk. So it's they're not really embracing recovery. They're just not using. And that period of time is when the signs are so strong. and they're going to be the most resistant, and they're going to avoid you. And all of those things are going to be happening. They're not going to be interested in going to a meeting. They're not going to want to watch a movie with you. They're not going to want to go for a walk. They're not going to want to do any of these things. They're going to be absent. I wish I could tell you I had it all figured out. I don't. But what I can tell you, what I can really talk to you about, is the piece that I know the most about. And that is what happens to us, the loved ones. Our well-being flies right the fuck out the window. I can't believe how quickly this disease spirals me down into my old behaviors, where I just want to power down, and I just want to withdraw, and I want to isolate, and I don't want to talk to people, and I just want to cry, or I want to drink, or I want to whatever it is, to escape. You know, when people used to say, or I used to read about, that our addiction is the addict. And I thought that was such a load of crap. And it's true. They are everything. We have completely lost our identity. I mean, we are so fixated on if they're okay, we're okay. But if I go back to some of the things that I've talked about, the tips that I have talked about before, and they are allowing yourself time to be sad, but not too much time. Like if you need a day to cry and be alone and do nothing, then allow yourself that if that's what you need. But after a day of that, you gotta get your ass up and out of bed. Like, you gotta just rise up, and things like shower, washing your face, feeling the warm water on your hands, you know, the smell of the soap. I don't know, you guys, moisturizing your face, reconnecting with things that you love, different scents that you love, like the smell of clothes out of the dryer, fresh out of the dryer, warm towels, a candle, lighting a candle. In the morning, waking up, stepping outside, and just breathe the fresh air. Look up, watch the trees or the branches swaying in the wind. Watching the birds, listening. Close your eyes and see how many different sounds that you can identify. Get your body moving. Walk. Write. Look for and celebrate moments of joy. It's really the only thing that I have found is just being so present in the moment and looking for them. Like right now, I'm just looking about, and what can I hear, and what can I feel, and what do I see that brings me joy? I see a picture of my dad on my bookshelf. I see some figurines that are my daughter's. I see these flowers. I have a small fan right here, and I can hear it, and I can feel a little bit of breeze on my face. I've got my stepson. I hate saying stepson, but he is. He's my son. I love him as if I gave birth to him. I got him this Harry Potter mug. And so I'm having some coffee. in his Harry Potter mug. And stuff that my daughter made behind me. And breathe. Why is it so annoying when people tell us to breathe? And when we're so in the, caught up and anxious and hurt and frustrated or whatever, the last thing we want to hear is someone tell us to breathe. Breathe. And you're like, oh my God. If I wasn't breathing, I wouldn't be alive. What does that help me? But it does. Breathe. Breathe. Feel your feet on the floor. I've got my pink fuzzy slippers on. Tell yourself, I've got this. I'm not alone in this. Everything is happening the way it's supposed to. I am loved. I have an amazing family who I adore. My sister, who I adore and admire. My mom, she is so flipping adorable. My husband, he knows how to help me through some of this stuff, and I know it's hard for him to see me when I'm hurting. Sometimes I just need a hug. My dog, Charlie, my friends. I have some friends at work that make me laugh. I've got a crazy, wacky sense of humor. I love to play. I'm like a kid at heart. My mom's like embarrassed because I like to do things that are silly. I can compartmentalize things so I can pack away the fear and the worry and the concern that I have for my daughter. Is she eating? Is she safe? Does she know how much I love her? I can pack that up in a nice little package and set it right over here when I'm at work. And I can laugh and I can make other people laugh and I can just be silly. I'm grateful for those things. The key is, especially if they're newly sober or not. My daughter was sober for 15 months. But see, you have to have a connection with them. You have to have somebody there close with them that can remind them of some of the steps and some of the things that they need to be doing to sustain their recovery. My daughter, I'm just so grateful for her. And right now I miss her. And we have had to show her some tough love right now. And my hope for her is that she can look back and see how hard this was for us. And that she'll believe one day that this was for her. This is a gift for her. I am sending you so much love and thank you for being here. Thank you for not giving up on your loved ones, whether they're in their active addiction right now or not. Relapse, it's a part of the journey, and I hate that. I hate that. And it's a progressive disease, right? So the stakes get higher and higher. It's not fair. But all of us are struggling with something, right? I just want to make sure that I'm doing my part and letting you know that you're not alone and that I am with you in spirit and I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for being here for me. I want to encourage you to look for opportunities throughout the day to love on yourself. Even if it's 2 minutes while you're washing your hands. look for and celebrate moments of joy, especially when it's the last thing you want to do, when all you want to do is hide. Get up, breathe, show yourself some love, get out of the house. I know you don't want to. I know. I've been there. I didn't want to get out of bed this morning. I wanted to stay in bed and cry. I feel sorry for myself because I miss my daughter and I worry for her. With that, I will try to pop in again and continue to share my voice and remind myself as to why I started this podcast. And remember that although it sometimes doesn't feel like it, I have come so far. Remember early on in my daughter's active addiction, I used to think about driving off the road daily, if not multiple times a day. It was so soul crushing. And when I started to learn and realize how unfair it is to put so much pressure on someone that I love so dearly, that my joy and the way I cope and the things that I do to take care of myself and my ability to be present for those that I love and the refilling of my cup, all of those things were my responsibility. All of those things were not up to my daughter. If my daughter relapses, if she chooses to stay in her addiction, if she chooses to live this kind of life, it's not to hurt me. And although I just use the word choose, it's her coping mechanism. It's the way that she deals with the pain in her heart and the way that she feels about herself. And I can understand that, you know. I know I've kind of rambled here, and that's okay. I give myself permission to not get this right. I speak freely. This isn't scripted. I'm just speaking from my heart, and that's okay. I am stronger now. I don't think about driving off the road anymore, okay? And I haven't for years. And I've learned how to bounce back quicker. And if I have a moment of weakness that lasts more than a couple days, I have strategies in place to help me, to get me back engaged in my life. And I encourage you to do the same. And if there's anything that I can ever do, if you need a friend to talk to, if you want to share, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you maybe have a story that you think would inspire my moms out there, or those who may be struggling with their addictions, and there are so many, right? It's not just drugs and alcohol. There's so many more. Everything in moderation, right? So if you have a story to share, please reach out to me. And I'm just sending you so much love. And thank you again. Thank you for being here for me. And sending you so much love. Bye for now.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and for helping me to connect with other moms of addicts or loved ones who are struggling with addiction in their lives. If you have questions for me, comments, suggestions on future show content, or perhaps there's a specific topic that you would like to hear from an expert in the field, I would love to hear from you. I am also interested in sharing your voice. So if you have messages of hope or personal stories that you think would resonate with our listeners, please send me an email. You can type me out a message, or you can include an attachment to an audio clip with your voice. You can send that to shar@beyondhoperadio.com. And with that, thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Beyond Hope. For show notes and more, head on over to beyondhoperadio.com.
A huge thank you to recoveryinnovators.com and James Healy. Thank you so much for putting up with me and for helping me to produce and launch the show. I couldn't have done it without you. You are so awesome. And to anybody else who has been considering working with James, highly recommend him. Please go over to his website and check it out, recoveryinnovators.com.